Hey everyone, it's Alexander Robinson. Welcome to the channel, and welcome back to In Memorial Month. This is part 2. 2 weeks ago, I reviewed Pee-wee's Big Adventure in honor of Paul Reubens, who passed away last year. And today, I'm going to be honoring the late Kevin Conroy, who passed away 2 years ago with The Only Way I Know How. Kevin Conroy is well known for my generation as being the definitive voice for Batman, so there's no better way to honor his legacy than to talk about Batman Mask of the Phantasm, which came out in December of 1993 in theaters, and it's a movie based off the Batman animated series that was running at the time. In this movie, Batman has to deal with a new villain called the Phantasm, who's going around Gotham City killing off mobsters and criminals who are all linked to each other. And this is a problem for him because people are getting the belief that, oh, Batman's gone on a killing spree now. Wonderful, huh? So he has to deal with that, and then as Bruce Wayne, he has to deal with the return of a former love interest in his life. I really do love Batman the Animated Series. I haven't seen every single episode, but I've seen a majority of them, and they are excellent. It's probably the most perfect adaptation of Batman in any other media besides the comics. But when it comes to this movie, Mask of the Phantasm, this has gone under the radar for casual fans. I know hardcore Batman fans are like, no, it's not. Batman Mask of the Phantasm isn't under the radar at all. For casual fans, it is, because when you talk to people who only watch the Batman movies, how many times does Mask of the Phantasm come up in conversation? Exactly. And it even slips my mind because as much as I was a fan of the animated series, I never got around to watching Mask of the Phantasm. So I finally decided to watch it, and I am so mad at myself that I didn't watch this movie beforehand because there is a lot that makes this right up there with the very best Batman movies. The first thing you'll notice right off the bat is the animation style. While the animation itself is not that much of an upgrade from the animated series, like you would expect from other movies based off 90s cartoons like Rugrats, Pokemon, SpongeBob, even Powerpuff Girls. It's the art style that really makes this movie what it is, because the whole animated series and this movie has a timeless look about it, to where it looks like those film noir movies from the 1930s, but there's modern technology in it, so you're really not sure what time period the series takes place in, and it just lends to an amazing art style, even though during the opening credits, they do show Gotham City in CG, and it looks honestly like garbage. But, you know, that was the 90s. That was when this movie was supposed to be a direct-to-video movie, which explains why the animation isn't that much better from the series. But overall, it's the art style that really sells it. And even though the animation itself is not that much of an upgrade from the series, it doesn't detract from the great action scenes and just the way it's animated in general. It's still just as good as it was in the series. I also really love how this is a more human story. Probably the most human Batman story any of the movies have ever attempted to tell. Mask of the Phantasm pretty much works as an origin story to this particular Batman. And there are several sequences in the movie that are flashbacks, where Bruce Wayne is trying to figure out how to fight crime in Gotham and what he needs to do in order to basically strike fear in the heart of criminals, but he comes across a young woman named Andrea Beaumont, who he falls in love with. They start dating, and this conflicts Bruce Wayne because he's torn between whether or not he wants to pursue his crime-fighting crusade as Batman, or if he wants to be happy, because there's a section of the movie where he visits his parents' grave, and he's worried about failing them because he never accounted to be happy in life. And that's something that none of the live-action movies have ever touched upon, that more human side to Bruce Wayne. I mean, we'll see what happens with the newer Batman movies with Robert Pattinson, but for right now, this is probably the most human story of any of the Batman movies, and Kevin Conroy really is the reason why it works so well. Now, what I'm about to say about Kevin Conroy doesn't just apply for Mask of the Phantasm, or even the animated series itself. It applies to his overall depiction of Batman. Everyone can debate and have different opinions on who the best live-action Batman is. For my money, it's still Michael Keaton. But everyone is in total agreement that the best Batman, in terms of voice, is Kevin Conroy. Because his voice as Batman is very natural, it's menacing, it's tough, but it doesn't sound too gruff. It doesn't sound like a parody or a joke the way that Christian Bale or Ben Affleck's voice can sometimes get. And you could tell there's a distinct difference between when he's voicing Bruce Wayne and when he's voicing Batman. And another reason why Kevin Conroy's Batman works so well is that he's the most understanding Batman out there. If you've seen Justice League Unlimited, you know there's that sequence where he goes in with orders to kill Ace, but Ace is just sitting on a swing, and Batman pretty much has a conversation with her because he understands the fact that his childhood, like Ace's, was robbed. So when she asks him, "Can you stay with me until I die?" he does that, and for me, that's Batman. Like, it's not about the darkness, it's not about the gadgets, it's not about stopping crime, it's about being the hero. Like, this is the most heroic Batman of them all. And again, while Michael Keaton is still my favorite Batman, that's one of the things I really loved about The Batman when we got to the end, where Batman actually becomes the hero, like not just the detective, but he becomes the hero that people look up to unless you're wanted criminal, which made it an absolute shock when I heard about his death, because when I first heard about it, it was from a really unreliable source, and I didn't even think about it for a second. I was like, bullshit, there's no way Kevin Conroy passed away. And then I heard about it from more reliable sources and people that I actually trust. I'm like, no, that can't be true. So Kevin Conroy's death really did hit me hard because he was, for my generation and for a lot of people, the definitive Batman, and nobody can replace him. The rest of the voice cast is great. You've got Dana Delany as Andrea Beaumont / the Phantasm. Spoiler alert for a 30-plus-year-old movie, I guess. Stacy Keach, who does a great job as her father, Carl Beaumont, and he actually voices the Phantasm, so that's cool. Dick Miller is one of the mobsters, he's good. And of course, there's Mark Hamill as the Joker. And much like with Kevin Conroy's Batman, while everyone can debate on who the best Joker is, Heath Ledger, everyone's in total agreement that Mark Hamill's Joker is the best overall. And again, not so much within this movie, but the grander DC animated projects. Him working with Kevin Conroy is the best Batman-Joker dynamic ever. And I applaud Mark Hamill for choosing not to ever voice the Joker again after Kevin Conroy's passing. I can't imagine Mark Hamill voicing the Joker with somebody else voicing Batman. It's just impossible. At the end of the day, Batman Mask of the Phantasm really is up there, if not better than most of the live-action Batman movies, because it has a more compelling human story. The animation and art style is just jaw-droppingly phenomenal. The voice cast is great, the action scenes are fun, especially that climax at the end of the movie. And one of the great things about this movie is that the way it ends, there's an implication on whether or not the Joker died. I mean, obviously, he didn't, because this is part of the animated series. But this is actually good news for people skeptical about watching this movie. Not in the sense that you think it's going to be bad, but it's a movie based off a TV series. Do you have to watch several episodes of the animated series to get what's going on? The good news is you don't. While it might enhance the experience, this movie works perfectly well as a standalone, because it depicts another type of origin story for Bruce Wayne without having to see Thomas and Martha Kent get killed again. Like I said earlier, the way it ends could imply that the Joker actually died. Finally, because Batman is such an iconic character and everybody knows his origin and his story like the back of their hands, you don't have to really get any context going into Mask of the Phantasm. You could just go into it knowing who Batman is, why he does what he does, and you'll be totally fine. So for that, I say worth seeing in your lifetime. If you're a hardcore Batman fan, you've already seen this, and you're already singing the praises of it, but if you're a casual fan who's only seen the live-action movies, then this is certainly worth your time. I don't like it as much as The Dark Knight or the 1989 Batman, but I think it's on par with The Batman as my favorite Batman movie. It's really that good, and highly recommended. And there you go, that's my review for Batman Mask of the Phantasm. I hope you enjoyed it, and with that, we have reached the end of In Memorial Month. Now, next month's set of retro reviews is going to be very unusual. I don't even know how it's going to do well amongst you guys, but next month is what I'm calling Jay Ward Month. If you're younger than me, you might be wondering, who's Jay Ward? Well, Jay Ward was an animator from the 50s and 60s who created a lot of characters like Dudley Do-Right, Rocky and Bullwinkle being his most famous, and George of the Jungle. So next month, I'll be reviewing 2 movies based off his animated characters. The first of them being George of the Jungle, which I have seen several times as a kid, but I have not seen this movie in over 20 years. So it'll be interesting to rewatch this. And then for the second movie, it'll be The Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle, which my brother swears up and down we've seen. I don't remember it, so I'll practically be watching this movie for the first time. And when we get to my review for The Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle, I'll explain in further detail why I decided to review these 2 movies. So I hope you guys tune in for Jay Ward Month starting in the second full week of June. But until then, I want to know what you guys think about Batman Mask of the Phantasm. Whatever your opinions are, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell button to get notifications. If you want to find me elsewhere on YouTube, you can check out my theme park and travel channel, Alexander Robinson Travel Channel, and follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Letterboxd, Threads. I'll see you guys in the next video, but until then, have a good day and take care of yourselves.